So, should one always be truthful in what they are saying or they're implying or what they are uttering? Should truthfulness be a guiding principle? Should one always speak the truth? Well, actually, that is the hardest one, right? That is the hardest one out of the big five. The big five being no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, and no indulging in fermented liquor. The last one, indulging in fermented liquor, well, that doesn't include marijuana, actually. The question of marijuana, well, that's a little bit complicated, and I'm going to address it here. Yet, fermented liquor has to do with the phenomenology of a Buddhist person after being awakened. There exists a fullness of this phenomenology of the qualia. There exists the qualia of an awakened person is full on. So fermented liquor, they will eventually get hooked on fermented liquor if they use it, and that will damage their stomach, and that will damage their health. Eventually, it would be very, very damaging to one's health. So that's why we do not engage in fermented liquor. Marijuana is something else, okay? Marijuana is ancient Native American habit. You do that once a year or once every 2 years when you want to speak to your departed relatives. You want to speak to your ancestors. You have a joint, okay? But in this day and age, as I said, carpe diem is the rule of thumb in this day and age, and that's wrongly understood. People have marijuana and they indulge in pornography and they do stupid things like that. Well, that's very, very bad too, okay? So, when I have one, I'm having one once in a while, but not that often, guys. I'm actually trying to stay away from it. But if I had one, I would listen to the Orthodox liturgy, I guess, or I would indulge in mathematics, okay? I wouldn't touch pornography after having cannabis. All right? So it is a lot like that. Because, well, that's conditioning, okay? So you are in a state where you're very prone to be psychologically conditioned when you touch that stuff. So you must be careful and you must indulge in the right things if you're using it for recreational purposes. But out of the big five, lying is the hardest. Trying to be truthful 100% of the time, trying to be truthful all of the time, well, that is the hardest one out of the big five. Well, I've sworn all of the 10. There's additional ones like being respectful to the Sangha and treasuring the three jewels and things like that. I've sworn all of the big 10. I vowed all of the big 10. But out of the big five, staying truthful is the hardest one. So, what's up with being truthful? Being truthful is very, very important. It is. These big five precepts, they are relevant to any human being, okay? So regardless of whether you declare yourself to be a Buddhist or not, adherence to the 5 precepts will influence your karma or your punya. Okay? So you're either going to acquire bad karma or good punya by adherence to these 5 precepts. Okay? No killing, no stealing. Well, that should be a good foundation. Okay, so no killing and no stealing, that's a good foundation to any human being. That's something that's a prerequisite for calling yourself a decent human being. No killing, no stealing, no cruelty to animals, no dishonesty. For example, crossing a red light. Did you know that crossing a red light is stealing? I view it as stealing, and I never cross a red light. And when I cross the street, I always go around the pole, okay? So otherwise, that's stealing, guys. So I'm not crossing red lights because that is stealing. So no killing, no stealing, that's a prerequisite to calling yourself a decent human being. No sexual misconduct, well, that is hard too, and it can be subject to personal interpretation in your own personal practice. But in my view, chastity is preferred, and one should be 100% chaste. One should adhere 100% to chastity in their practice if they are going to follow and don't violate the 3rd precept. But staying truthful, okay? Staying truthful is the hardest because, okay, my mom could call me. I received a phone call from my mom today, and she's suddenly asking me, so you've done your washing, have you placed your washing in the wardrobe? And myself, well, I don't want to hear her nagging about it, and I don't want to make her feel anxious about my state of about the state of my apartment. I don't want to make my mother anxious, so I'm lying. Okay, so I'll say a lie, an innocent lie. Yes, Mom, I've placed the washing in the wardrobe. Okay, so that is the innocent lie that I'm telling my mother, and I'll pay for that, okay? You must be aware of this. You must be conscious of these things. You must be aware that whenever you're saying something that is untruthful, you are going to pay for that. You will either feel pain in your body, okay? So you're going to feel pain in your body, or perhaps, I don't know, you're cooking some French fries, you're cooking some potatoes, you're frying them, and some cooking oil will burst from the pan, from the frying pan. Some cooking oil will burst and you'll get burned by cooking oil. Things like that. So pain in your body, basically, due to being untruthful. So guys, stay true to the precepts. Otherwise, it is very, very bad karma.